In the story of human design, there is a shift that's happening. We are literally in the middle of a dynamic change in the body graph. Now, I want to be really clear about the timing on this because I think sometimes when I talk about it or you hear other people talk about it, we get the timing a little bit wrong. This is not the first time we've had a major shift in the body graph. The first time there was a major shift happened in 1780, sometime in the 1780s. The chart split and we went from being seven centered to being nine centered. It's, I think, in the way that I teach this, sometimes I say this in such a way that makes it sound like this marked the beginning of the scientific revolution. This is actually really kind of the end of the scientific revolution, meaning consciousness through our human story created this understanding of the world that allowed us to begin to interpret the world in a very materialistic way. And that consciousness created our scientific understandings. It created changes in philosophy, changes in art, changes in the way in which we perceive the world. And the 7 to 9 center split happened at the end of this evolution in consciousness. And it really marked the beginning of what I like to call the quantum era. Because after this, then we begin to see, not right away, but slowly, science and philosophy and theosophy and religion, we all began to explore now not so much the material world, but what's the influence of the mind and the microparticles of matter, the atomic level of matter. How does that work? And how does perspective and thought forms and consciousness and the way in which our minds work influence what we create and what we experience in the world? We're at the end of this quantum era. This shift in 2027, which is when the next change in the body graph is slated to happen, marks the end of this era. So I think sometimes we think, oh, we're going to, like 2027, poof, pling, quantum human 2.0 is going to emerge. All of our charts are going to change and voila, it's going to be a whole new era. We're actually in the new era. It's already unfolding. We're kind of in the final thrust of it, which means we're really in the final thrust of continuing to let go and release all of these old systems, because systems are very materialistic, and definitions and formulas about how we think the world is operating, and we're beginning to create in a very new way. To me, what we're entering into and what I think we need more than anything in the next 7 years is not so much information. Information is easy to get. I think we've been in an age of information. That's why we have the internet as an artifact of the age of information. If you want to find something out, it's pretty easy anymore to go find it, right? Might not always be accurate, but you can find information. I think we're entering into a creative revolution that is going to allow us to break out of old patterns and become systematic in the way in which we break out of old patterns. And we're entering into an era of inspiration. We need inspiration to crack our minds open into exploring what else is possible. And again, back to you guys, part of what you're doing is you're inspiring people to aspire to something bigger than what they think they are. Because inspired people who are aspiring to be bigger than what they think they are going to be the people who are going to conclude this era and take us into the next, who are going to help us build through their alignment with themselves and through faith in the gate 55, which becomes the driver in the new chart, which we'll talk about when we get to it later. We're moving into an era where our inspiration is the most creative force we have. And our ability to entertain the possibility of what else is possible is going to be what finds ultimately the elegant solutions facing humanity. And I totally think we're not doomed. I totally think the fact that we can think about the possibility that there's possibilities that we're not doomed says that our brains are already translating quantum potential into reality, turning it into material thinking. Because when we think, we start creating material things that go along with it, because our brain is a material thing. we're already beginning to take that possibility out of the quantum field and put it into reality. You're going to find that there are people who are creating some pretty amazing things. There are a lot of kids creating some pretty amazing things on this planet right now that are going to bring about, I think, a very new way of being in the world. And you all are doing the work to usher that era in. So again, right hand, left shoulder, good job. Okay. Yay. All right.